Get the cream, precious metals or the crypto things. Your bars are light like the one that's on a Smith machine. But my Maxwell and I ain't speaking about the pretty.
Let's talk about Raw from April the 18th, 2022. In terms of news and notes, we're gonna do the Triple H interview on the NXT episode. How about that? Either that, or I'll do a separate video just on the Triple H interview that he did with The Athletic, because there's so much in it that revolves around NXT and developmental and that sort of thing. But there has been this graphic that's been floating around that has showed Cody as sort of the main star of Raw, as Roman Reigns is the main star of SmackDown, and people are saying that now Cody is the front runner to be the WWE champion. And I say that there's still some guys Roman has not wrestled, some top level guys that Roman has not had feuds with. I don't think any of those guys would beat Roman, but I don't see why we should leave that money on the table. Those guys being Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre. So Drew McIntyre and Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns have been on the same brand for nearly a year and never had a single conversation. They've never had any conversation. They have never crossed paths. I don't even think they've been on the screen at the same time together. Obviously, they're keeping those two apart for a reason. You know, when WWE is keeping people apart on purpose for a reason, that's why, you know, Drew McIntyre is doing all this busy work with Sami Zayn and Happy Corbin and all that crap, because they're keeping him away from Roman. There has to be a reason for that. You know, they could have easily made him the Intercontinental Champion or something like that, but they didn't. You know, so they're keeping Drew McIntyre away from Roman for a reason. You know, Randy Orton's been in the tag team for over a year. So there is some significant stuff there that, you know, they haven't had a lot of matches either. Randy Orton and Randy Orton and Roman Reigns haven't had a lot of matches either. So that's a pretty fresh feud. Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns have not had a lot of matches. They've never actually wrestled each other before, to my knowledge, unless it was for, you know, some mid-card title like 2 or 3 years ago. AJ Styles is another one. He's had matches with Roman Reigns, but I don't think he's had any since Roman Reigns has turned heel. I don't think he's had any main event matches with Roman. So you got 4 or 5 guys there that Roman could continue to work with throughout the rest of the year before we even start talking about taking the title off of him. So do I think Roman will lose to any one of those guys? Probably not. Do I think that Cody probably has the best chance of beating Roman? Sure, because I think he has the story, and I think the story is there. I think WWE is behind the story. He's getting the full Lex Express. He even got the bus. But is it the right thing to do? I think looking at the crowd reactions, especially on this show and the last couple of shows that Cody's been on, I think it's well earned, and their investment has not been wasted. Cody has been doing a very good job. I think it's too soon. It's been less than a month to start calling Cody the face of Raw, or he's the next champion guaranteed. It's only been a month. You know, it's only been 2 or 3 weeks. You know, let's relax on that. Okay, let's relax and let's give it some time. You know, let's give it some time, because we don't know what their plans are for WrestleMania or SummerSlam or anything like that. But I think one of the more interesting notes that WWE tweeted out themselves, I think it might have been BT Sport, is that Roman has been largely avoided in terms of the Money in the Bank. That no Money in the Bank winner has ever challenged Roman Reigns. That they've all gone for the WWE title. Now that Roman only has this belt, you know, there's only one belt now. I think that will actually have to change. So now we have a situation where Roman's never faced certain challenges. He never faced a Money in the Bank winner, you know, appearing from him, attacking him from behind or anything like that. And there's several high quality baby faces that he's never wrestled yet. And it's still doing pretty good. You know, his run's pretty strong. Do I think Cody would beat him? Probably. When that would be, it would have to be WrestleMania, and it would have to be. Now I could see them wrestling a match maybe at SummerSlam, and then Roman wins that match, and then maybe they double back. Cody wins the Rumble, and then wins the title at the WrestleMania. and they tell that story, and that will be fine. That would be fine as far as I'm concerned. But I think Cody probably has the best shot at beating Roman. But let's get into this show, which is another very Cody-centered episode of Monday Night Raw. So we get to start it with Seth friggin' Rollins, who called out Cody. He then says that there's a story between him and Cody and being in Buffalo. I'm guessing this is some type of Shield thing. They kind of alluded to some stuff, but they didn't really spend any time on it. Seth Rollins said that he was going to talk about how much he respects the Rhodes family, Cody, his brother, Dusty, and that he knew that Cody's been gone for 6 years, but where he went is irrelevant because Seth Rollins is the one who made him a star in one night. Then, of course, he continued that Cody had an unfair advantage at WrestleMania. He wanted Cody to feel the same way. So he challenged Cody to face an opponent of his choosing tonight on Monday Night Raw, to which Cody accepted. It was also very nice because Seth Rollins noted, like The Miz missed the opportunity to note, which obviously is odd because The Miz would never miss this opportunity. Cody had to face the idea that Seth Rollins has been WWE champion 4 times already. So I've been there 4 times. You 0. That makes me better than you. That was pretty good. So that was the story throughout the night. I didn't care for that being the story throughout the night because there was no real teasing. The opponent was Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ended up being the opponent for Cody Rhodes. They had a pretty solid match. It ended in a count out as Kevin Owens was being verbally berated by Seth Rollins, even though they was hugging earlier. Like, they're such fake friends that, they were hugging each other earlier. They get in the match. Kevin Owens is really doing a good job, to be quite honest. I was kind of surprised they would give this match away, even though I think they did it at a dark match maybe a week or so ago, where it was Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes in a dark match. So they was just kind of, giving people a little bit of a taste. And I was saying this to myself as I was watching this match, like, wow, this is kind of a pay-per-view match here. I'm surprised they didn't save this one up. And then when they gave us the finish that they gave, I'm like, okay, well, they did, So Seth Rollins is verbally berating Kevin Owens while he's outside the ring, told him to get his fat ass back in the ring. Kevin Owens looked at him as if, flaming turds was, coming out of his mouth, and waved it off and left. Cody was, of course, disgusted. He actually didn't want to win that way, but he'll take the win. Kevin Owens has walked out. Seth Rollins followed Kevin Owens, trying to get this man to get back into the ring, trying to figure out what happened, what went wrong. And then he attacked Cody from behind and knocked him off the ring apron. He knocked him over the apron onto the floor, off the top rope. And that's where we went off the air. I like the idea of Cody having to wrestle a mystery opponent. I didn't mind the mystery opponent being Kevin Owens. The opening segment, I think Cody did a really good job playing with the crowd. I hate that they alluded to the history of them being in Buffalo, and without me having to look, I don't want to have to look things up because I don't remember like random towns like, oh, this thing happened in Buffalo. Like, oh, okay, you could just tell me, you can just tell me that they did a thing in Buffalo. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with it's not like a spoiler or anything, So I thought this was fine. I like the idea of Seth Rollins saying, you had an unfair advantage. I want to give you an unfair advantage. And Cody still managing to do okay even then. All right, so the women's tag team titles are on the line in the first match. Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. This match was fine. It was fine, I guess. There was a riptide on the barricade by Rhea to Sasha. It looked like it hurt like hell. Sasha pinned Rhea, obviously, to win the match, because obviously Rhea Ripley should be the one that gets pinned. It makes no sense. After the match, Rhea Ripley blamed Liv Morgan for the loss because Liv Morgan was not there to help. Liv, of course, apologized, tried to make peace. She turned her back on Rhea. Rhea attacked her from behind, beat her up, and hit her with the riptide. Of course, we saw this coming a mile away. I think maybe even called this one before WrestleMania that, this heel turn was desperately needed. This heel turn was desperately needed. For Christ's sake, it was so needed. That Rhea Ripley, it still got a good reaction, even though, a million people saw it coming. It was just no doubt about it. It was just necessary, But Liv Morgan's a great underdog babyface to put against Rhea. Rhea can no-sell some of her offense and just completely destroy Liv and get a lot of heat on Liv. So this ought to be fun. I didn't mind the tag team. I think they had a similar look, a similar approach, but they weren't together that long, so it wasn't like you could generate any real sadness out of this. It was just, everybody knew it was just a vehicle to get Rhea to turn heel. And so there that goes. Now with Liv and Rhea breaking up, which is the second tag team to break up this month in WWE, the first being Carmella and Zelina. There is literally like one tag team in the women's division, and it's the champions. Everybody else is a singles act. WWE has so many women on the roster, and they don't do anything with them. The Shayna Baszler, she doesn't wrestle even in tag teams. And Aaliyah, Xia Li, Shotzi, they've been calling people up and just basically doing nothing with them. It's just weird that they have women, they could make a tag team division, but they just don't. They just decided that they don't want one. They just want to have the appearance of a tag team division for the women. Hell, they don't have a tag team division for the men either. We'll talk about that when we get there. But this was a great move to turn Rhea heel. It was desperately necessary. I thought they were going to subvert and turn Liv at first. And I was about to say, oh no, I don't know about that. Especially considering that's what they did with Nikki. And they had Nikki turn heel and it didn't do anything for her. Because Nikki is undersized and it didn't do her any good. Here they did it the right way. They put Rhea in another tag team just to do it the right way. And Liv she's progressing. And it ought to be nice to see if she actually becomes something eventually. All right, so the next segment was another women's segment. They got the women out the way quick here. Sonya Deville, WWE official, comes to the ring and says she's heard a lot of chitter-chatter about her abusing her powers, and says that she's a competitor and she always has been, but she was forced into this role. She was forced into being a WWE official against her will due to, and they didn't say it, because I'm guessing Mandy Rose is not on the show, and it's also because Mandy Rose is a heel. So they didn't mention that she lost to Mandy Rose and had to quit, But she was saying how she basically used this position to bide her time to get back in as a competitor, and now she's felt like now is the opportunity. When she saw Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, she knew she was the best. She's the BEST, and she knew that she was the one that has to drop the title to me. I want to be able to beat the best. And this is a very interesting little piece of business here. Sonya Deville did an interview, I don't know how long ago it was, where she talked about, once the whole thing was over with the stalker, she wanted to get back in the ring, and Vince kind of told her, nope, we're not doing it yet. Just wait. And he kept making her wait. Every week he would make her wait to get back in the ring. And, of course, her first match being the Naomi match. And she talked about the response that she got and all the reaction to it. And he was like, hey, don't you now appreciate that I made you wait? Instead of just throwing you back in the ring, I gave you a character. You got to go out there and get over, build a storyline, and then you wrestled the match. And it seemed to work so much better for her, and she is a lot more over now than she was before. And I love this. I don't mind Sonya Deville being this corrupt official. She's a very nebulous middle management type. Like, what is her exact title? You know, like she's the executive vice president of copy and paper, and it's like, okay, whatever. But she's calling the shots. So Bianca Belair comes out there, and my God, did you see what she was wearing? She was wearing gold go-go boots up to her knees, and then she looked like she was wearing what looked like a bow tie around her chest. I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? You know, like it was absolutely insane. All I kept thinking when I was looking at that thing is like Jimmy Hart always says, if you look like everybody else, they treat you like everybody else. And I'm like, you see a woman walking around in go-go boots, and what do you think? And she's wearing like a bow tie shirt? Like, what is going on here? Anyway, Bianca wanted to have the match tonight, obviously. And Sonya Deville was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then said she's going to beat her next week in Bianca Belair's hometown of Knoxville. Then she says that everybody is used to watching Bianca lose quickly. She got snatched up for the KOD. And while she was upside down, Sonya Deville was like, nope. If you do it, I'll make sure you get fined and stripped. You'll lose your title. You'll lose money. You'll lose everything. So Bianca put her down, and Sonya Deville stormed off. This led to our second Sonya Deville segment, where she comes to Adam Pearce and she's complaining. She wants to know what they're going to do about this Bianca Belair thing. How big is the fine going to be? And she got up to about $1 million before Adam Pearce was like, look, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're under investigation. And then Sonya Deville's like, whoa, shocked Pikachu face, because, I mean, she's been abusing her authority on TV for like, I don't know, 7 months. And, like, what's the investigation really? Like, we don't, do we need to investigate the corrupt nature of Sonya Deville? like, we've been watching her fuck with people for like 7 months. Anyway, she's under investigation. It's just so ridiculous. So Adam Pearce was kind of fucking around with her. And then Bianca Belair showed up, and Sonya Deville's like, what's going on here now? And Bianca Belair said, I'm here to pay my fine. And her fine was $1 American. And Sonya Deville was pissed. Sonya Deville was pissed because the fine for grabbing her was only $1. And Adam Pearce says, hey, it's by the book. It's by the book. I can charge fines whatever I want. It's $1. $1. Don't do it again. Hope you learned your lesson. So we're finally building up to the Sonya Deville Adam Pearce fallout. It's been a long time coming. They've been planting seeds for that thing for quite a while now. I wonder what the hell the payoff is going to be, because Adam Pearce can't wrestle. He can't wrestle Sonya Deville. So what's the payoff? I guess he'll have to bring back somebody. Maybe he's going to be the catalyst to bring back Asuka. Who knows? In any event, Sonya Deville versus Bianca Belair is set for next week, and I can almost guarantee you this match will not happen. I just don't see it actually occurring. I would be surprised if this match actually happened and we got a finish. Now, it may be some shit where Sonya Deville calls in some of her cronies, Shayna Baszler or Natalya or something like that, to get disqualified, counted out, or whatever. I would definitely be surprised if this match actually occurs on the show. I'd be very, very surprised. Veer Mahan defeated a job guy and then tortured him and put him on a stretcher. I really wish we could have done something else with Veer Mahan. I really do. Kevin Owens didn't just wrestle Cody on this show. He also got to do his lie detector segment. So it was a lie detector segment with Ezekiel and Chad Gable. So Chad Gable was touted as being the smartest man in WWE. And he will be the one that will be administering the lie detector test on Ezekiel. Gable did the funny Vince McMahon thing where he pulled his glasses down his nose and looked over them and to lecture people, which I thought was great, and no doubt the reason he was given those glasses in the first place. they wouldn't have gave him goddamn glasses and that Letterman jacket. They didn't want him to look like a nerd. And I guess that's what they're going for, is that he's going to be a nerd. Okay. A nerd jock, kind of. Okay, whatever. I was concerned that, he was out here by himself, that maybe they had broken up Alpha Academy. Especially since Kevin Owens said that he was going to be wrestling Ezekiel immediately after this. I was like, okay, if they just softly separated Alpha Academy, and I was like, oh no, don't do that. So, Ezekiel comes out there, and his new thing is, who wants to hear Zeke speak? Kevin Owens obviously was very distraught, very upset, because this man is claiming to be Ezekiel and not Elias. So he wants to try to prove this. Chad Gable hooks him up, asks him some setup questions, yes or no questions. He passes all of those. He then says, is your real name Elias? He says, no. Is Elias your older brother, rather? And he says, yes, and that's true. Is your real name Ezekiel? He says, yes, and that's true. Now Kevin Owens starts to flip out and says that he's paying Chad Gable pretty well, 150 Canadian dollars, to administer this test. He wanted it done properly. And Chad Gable is like, look, I've already figured it out. It's working. This thing is not wrong. Ezekiel then says he got tired of being called a liar, and said that he was excited to have his first match and he's ready to do it now. Kevin Owens kind of gets in his face, wants to demand him to say that he's Elias. He won't do it though. And instead, Kevin Owens backs down and Chad Gable attacked Ezekiel from behind. They had a pretty solid match. It's probably one of the better matches I've seen this guy, let's say, have, because he lost a lot of the bulk that was Elias. So now he doesn't move like EC3 anymore, which is great. Chad Gable was finally about to lose this match, and then Otis showed up and got disqualification. Ezekiel got jumped by Chad Gable and Ezekiel, so this was fine. Chad Gable and Otis beat up Ezekiel. Nobody came to make the save because it was very quick, and then they got out of there. All right, they escaped the scene of the crime very quickly. You got RK Bro versus the Street Profits. Really good match. And this is a match that exposed that the Street Profits are now heels again for reasons unknown. In any event, the match was going perfectly fine until the Street Profits started to not look very good. It seemed to be like they was in trouble. All of a sudden, they waved at the entrance and the Usos music plays. And like a stupid babyface, Riddle is like, huh? What are they doing here? And all of a sudden he gets, knocked down, top rope blockbuster. The Street Profits pin RK Bro. After the match, Montez Ford says he wonders who would play with the lights and play the Usos theme, and said that there's more than one tag team for RK Bro to be concerned about. They should also be concerned about the Street Profits. I don't see why they would be, considering this is the first match the Street Profits have won in forever, it seems like. I see them probably just defending the titles against Street Profits winning, and then we go on to this unification thing. They're not going to drop the unification thing. Now, they may make it a triple threat match, which I think would probably be nice. If there's like a triple threat ladder match, now that would be great. A triple threat ladder match for the tag team titles, that would be awesome. Can we get that? Can we put that in there? But otherwise, just let it be a tag team match between RK Bro and the Usos. But they had to go and make things complicated by having the RK Bro lose, because I guess they was getting too over. So very odd, very, very, very odd. But the Street Profits as heels, okay, it ought to be all right. It's not like the characters aren't going to be too different, I don't think. But we kind of need to be a little bit more solid. Like, they need to cheat, like hard cheating, not that kind of soft, oh, we just played your theme music prank type stuff. They need to really get in there and hit some guys in the nuts or something. But whatever. All right, so Edge and Damian Priest. Edge has a really, really tall chair now. It's a big chair. It's like Dracula chair. Anyway, Edge and Damian Priest said this is a reminder of who the hell they are. And Edge says that What you see today is the seeds that he planted 20 years ago, back when he was in the Ministry of Darkness. He was a member of the Brood. And that these seeds will be watered by his opponent's tears. He then explained that Bad Bunny got all the glory for WrestleMania last year, but if it wasn't for Damian Priest, Bad Bunny would have got splattered all over the canvas like a Picasso. And that it was not fair that Damian Priest, who carried Bad Bunny to a match last year and saved him, wasn't on WrestleMania this year. And then said that he, a legend, a Hall of Famer, former world champion, had to beg somebody to face him at WrestleMania in order to get on the show. That this company doesn't really appreciate them anymore. And he says that the only one man enough to stand up to them has been AJ Styles. And they're going to make an example out of him. And so Edge challenged him to a rematch at WrestleMania Backlash, to which, of course, AJ Styles then accepted. Then, out of nowhere, there was some flickering lights, and I was like, oh no, oh no. And Edge and Damian Priest teleported to AJ Styles' area, whooped his ass, and then bashed his hand in a locker, a foot locker. It's a wooden, because kind of slammed the door on it a bunch of times. I love Edge and Damian Priest. I love them so much, I don't think we even need a third person. I love them together so much, I don't think they even need a third person. But at the same time, if you're going to have a third person, it probably should be female. And Rhea Ripley fits the bill. But I could see them probably doing, like, trying to throw Alexa Bliss in there or something, which I don't like. I don't want that. But I love Edge and Damian Priest. It's such an excellent duo. You know, it's going to be such badass stuff. People continue to compare them to the House of Black. Okay. I mean, it is what it is at this point. I'm not even tripping on it, you know. I can see some similarities, but I don't really see that many similarities. And I guess Edge mentioned his whole Ministry of Darkness history because it's like, motherfucker, I did it first. You know, like I was doing this shit already. All right. So, that was the Edge, Damian Priest stuff. It was fun. I can't wait for them to do more. I would think they would be looking at adding a new member within probably by the time Backlash jumps in. Personally, I think Shotzi is a great person, and I think Rhea is great. But because Shotzi is into horror movies and all that kind of stuff too, and I think she could really, you know, get it in with this kind of thing. But I don't think WWE is ready to do anything with Shotzi yet. You know, so she's probably on the chopping block if we're being honest. So there that go. They probably put Rhea in there because that's their girl, one of their girls. Even though she doesn't win that, she doesn't win the big one that often. All right, so love Edge and Damian Priest. The next match, Theory, that wins the United States Championship from Finn Balor, and he won the match clean on his own. And a bunch of heels come out to celebrate this occasion. Apollo Crews and the Hurt Business, and I'm sorry, what did I say? Because I made the WWE mistake. I need the Miz to sit here and correct me. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, who are not at all the Hurt Business. They were out there, even though they were wearing Hurt Business gear. Commander Aziz was out there. A lot of people were out there to celebrate the victory of Austin Theory. And then who comes out next but Mr. McMahon? Vince McMahon himself comes out there to celebrate Austin Theory. Austin Theory goes and gets the selfie with Vince, and he's so proud of himself. And he's thrilled. He's thrilled that Mr. McMahon is very happy with him. Now, I didn't see this occurring. I thought Finn Balor would win. He just has no victories. He probably got one or two over Austin Theory. He just can't beat him. You know, just can't beat this guy. There's just something about him. Can't take him. Around the same time, I don't know if it was before this, maybe it was a couple hours before, maybe it was an hour before. Kushida left WWE. Now I was going to talk about this in NXT, but it's really not that big of a deal. The reason why I mentioned that here is because Kushida and Fergal Devitt, aka Finn Balor, have so much history. And for Finn Balor to lose this match, it looks like he might be on his way out too. I hate to say it, but he's a guy who's been in the company since 2016. He's 40 now. He's been there for 5 or 6 years. He seemed to have peaked, and they're not willing to even do anything more with him. So it's like, what more is there for him to do? It might just be time for a new coat of paint. And I think the same thing for Kushida. And I don't think it's necessarily a negative when older talent, can't get a run, and there's no time for them, there's no space for them, they have been pigeonholed, and it's time for them to go. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's just what it was for Kushida. And maybe it's time for Finn Balor too. That he's not old, like ancient. 40, 25 years ago was a retirement age. It's not now. But WWE is going younger, and it seems to have no interest in doing anything with Finn Balor, because they gave him a belt and then just beat him every fucking week. The same thing they did with Ricochet. It made no fucking sense. It made no earthly sense. And it was just, we got to get the belt off Damian Priest, and so they used Finn Balor to do it. And then he summarily just got beat by Austin Theory every goddamn week. And then Damian Priest never really went back to get the U.S. title. So he just kind of says, I moved on. I went to join Edge. I'm doing something else. Don't even care about that shit no more. So there that is. I feel bad for Finn Balor though, because I really am a super fan of Finn Balor. I think he's great. He definitely deserved a better run than he's had. And shouldn't be talking like he literally did get fired, but you can just look at the writing on the wall that he might just be asking for his release, and he might, be looking to get out of there, just for nothing to get but a new coat of paint. It's like, why not, man? I don't see any reason for him to still be there, outside of the money. I just don't see it. Like, what's the benefit to him to go through all this shit? It's just not worth it. Great on Austin Theory though. Great for him, because he's been on a winning streak, with the exception of the loss to Pat McAfee, which, they kind of wrote off as a fluke. Theory has been very entertaining. I want him to evolve his character, just, not just leave it with the selfies, but let's expand it. Maybe get him an entourage of people who take cameras, similar to Morrison and Molina, where he got the red carpet rolled out for him and all that kind of stuff. It's time to evolve this character some. Rather than just being the young punk that Mr. McMahon likes because he stole his egg. I see a lot of me and you. And that's crazy that people said that there was not going to be any long-term story out of that stupid egg segment. And here it is, we're still doing the stupid egg segments, because that's what birthed the McMahon Theory relationship. It was Austin Theory stealing an egg from Vince McMahon. So he's going to have to maybe buy Vince an egg at the end of all this thing. So that was fun. It was fun watching the heels come in and do a celebration for once, because it's so awkward and it's so odd, and it comes across as, yeah, Vince paid you guys to come out here and be friends with me. It doesn't feel legit at all. But that was fun. The 24/7 double commitment ceremony was an absolute abortion. It was an absolute abortion. At the same time, though, it solidified one immutable fact, and that is that R-Truth is a national treasure, a fantastic human being, and an absolute comic genius. This whole thing was an absolute disaster. Nikki was still dressed as a superhero, but she was also had like a little bridle thing on her head. I don't know what the hell that thing was. Los Lotharios were there. Why the hell were they there? Adam Pearce was present. He was back there snickering through the whole goddamn thing. The Sasha Banks and Naomi were the bridesmaids for Tamina. A lot of people were so confused about why that would be. It was because of Team Bad. There was a trio. A couple of years ago, it was Tamina, Naomi, and Sasha Banks. And they're canonically still friends. So they were helping her with the dress, and they were invited to this shindig. And I think that was a nice little Easter egg for people who know it. You know, WWE doesn't really do a lot of callbacks. So that was a nice little Easter egg for people who picked it up on it. That Sasha and Naomi being friends with Tamina is something that is in WWE lore. R-Truth kept mispronouncing Dana Brooke's name by calling her Dana Brooks. And she had to correct him, which I thought was hilarious. R-Truth playing with the crowd was the most fun thing probably of the entire show. Believe it or not. Now, this was obviously one of those segments that clearly split the audience. Half the audience absolutely hated it. Thought it was stupid, goofy, unfunny, just a complete waste of time. Another portion of the wrestling fandom thought it was absolutely brilliant. And maybe it went a little too, it's overstayed its welcome because R-Truth kept playing with the audience. But it was ultimately fun TV to watch. I am saying I love watching R-Truth. And I watch R-Truth read the Bible out loud. I don't give a shit. I didn't think this segment was great. I definitely thought it was too long. But R-Truth, when he sang his little ditty and then the crowd immediately picked it up and Sasha and Naomi are dancing to it, bro, like that shit was fucking funny. I'm sorry. Like, look, I know, you know, magic, goofball shit in wrestling. I'm not a fan of any of that stuff. But when you stumble across something that is pure comedic gold, that was almost completely, nobody could have known that he was going to say that the crowd was going to react that way, or that Sasha and Naomi was going to dance to it. Nobody could have seen that, you know? And because of that, it was fun as hell. You know, R-Truth yelling at, y'all gonna get me fired. He said that like 100 times. Y'all gonna get me fired. What makes it so great is because his character is stupid, he doesn't have to pronounce anything correctly. He doesn't have to use the appropriate words. He can just say whatever he wants and it all works within the character. Not only, because I think he legitimately was calling her Dana Brooks and didn't know what her name was. Like, it felt legit to me, you know, even though it probably wasn't. But it felt legit that R-Truth doesn't know this girl's name. It feels legit to me that R-Truth would try to settle the fans down and try to get them to respect this segment, and everybody else is corpsing on TV as R-Truth tries to hold this thing together instead of just letting it go apart. You know, instead of letting this bitch bust, he's trying to hold it together. And everybody else is kind of like, oh my God, oh, what the fuck am I doing here? So they did the old switcheroo, which I actually thought that was going to happen. They got to the who objects. Tamina objected, switches the grooms. She's now going to marry Reggie, and Tozawa is going to marry Dana. Then she changed her mind and she swapped the grooms back, and then she swapped the husbands by putting the husbands on one side, her and Dana on one side, and the crowd is standing up. The crowd is standing up thinking that Tozawa and Reggie are about to get married. And Reggie is he's deeply perturbed by the concept of marrying Tozawa. And Dana Brooke is all in on marrying Tamina. I'm like, what is going on here? This is so dumb. So eventually Tamina got frustrated and put everything back the way it's supposed to be. She's going to marry Tozawa, and Dana Brooke is going to marry Reggie. And then the marriaging guy, R-Truth, actually did the ceremony. Everybody kissed. And then as soon as the ceremony was over, R-Truth called them the schemers. They attacked. And Dana Brooke got rolled up by Reggie and pinned. Got pinned by her own husband. Reggie then immediately got pinned by Tamina, who then was immediately pinned by Tozawa, who climbed under her dress. God, he climbed under her dress. Dana Brooke did a flying body press to win the title back. So the 24/7 title changed hands 5 times in this segment before R-Truth ran off with the women's champion. Nobody else wanted this belt. Sasha Banks, Naomi, Los Lotharios, they were all out there and they all ignored that damn title. They got loose. They got skinny as soon as the show went off the rails. But God bless R-Truth for having the creative ability, I think. This feels like this is all R-Truth to me. It's absolutely stupid. This is the most time the 24/7 crew has ever gotten. And this feels like this is R-Truth, him having his own little corner of WWE where he can do whatever he wants. And I fully support that because the guy's a fucking genius and I love him. So R-Truth was fantastic. The rest of this shit, you could take it or leave it. But R-Truth messing around with the audience is worth the price of admission. It's great. And it's sad that he doesn't really address live audiences that much anymore. Like he used to do when he used to wrestle all the time. He would come out there, address the live crowd all the time. Now he doesn't really get the chance to do that. So that sucks. The last little bit here is just MVP and Amos challenging Lashley to an arm wrestling match. I don't see the point in that, but it's all about proving that Amos is bigger and stronger than Lashley and that he's the new model. He's going to teach, MVP's going to teach Amos everything he knows about wrestling. So that's fine. Arm wrestling challenges with Bobby Lashley seem to be pretty fun. And, obviously there's going to be some cheating, but we just got to figure out how much cheating is it going to be. WWE is pumping out these silly non-technical segments though, like these weddings, and they had a wedding and a lie detector test on the same episode. And next week they're going to have a arm wrestling challenge. I mean, what's next? Body slam challenge like WrestleMania. What was it? WrestleMania 1 or WrestleMania 2? When they did the Andre the Giant and Big John Studd body slam match. I think that was WrestleMania 1, right? So, this show was obviously wildly mediocre. I like the Damian Priest Edge stuff. I really enjoy them. I enjoy the Cody stuff. Him and Seth Rollins was fun. The Theory and Balor was a good match. I really enjoyed that. And yeah, the RK Bro and the Street Profits is also a good match, but we've seen that match 100 times already. It's just repetition at this point. So overall, it was wildly mediocre. Mediocre to poor, depending on your personal opinion. I didn't mind the Sonya Deville stuff and the women's turn that often. That bad, rather. I thought they were rather fun. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
MagMongoSlade. Best house I ever drew, Daddy.